r/AskReddit. Strippers of Reddit, what's your weirdest story while working? I feel like most dancers have countless stories. Hard to find weird ones because they're all a little odd and it becomes normal over time. One man spent over $1,000 on me over a couple hours. I massaged his back and he fell asleep in a champagne room. When he woke up he said, "How did you know exactly what I needed?" After the champagne room he wanted more time with me and we went to do several private dances. He cried during them while I sat on his lap and sang to him and brushed his hair back, massaging his scalp with my nails. Another man came up to me garbling about worshipping me and wanting to lick the bottom of my heels, suck the stiletto and drink my urine. It was so slow and I was reading a book in the back of the club, so I was awfully surprised when someone approached me and unleashed all of that on me. My manager said he'd pee in a glass for me if I really wanted to go for it. Edit, wording and added some more details. Also, the song in the first story was Breeze Blocks. For those of you setting the tone with Sarah McLachlan playing in your head. I went with my friend on a sorta slow Tuesday night. Met this dancer that hated this one creepy dude and asked me to keep buying dances and she'll pay me back and take me to the 24-hour folk place. Heard this one before. I keep buying dances and we talk about Zelda OOT. End of the night comes around. She gives me her number and texts me to meet at the folk place in an hour. A woman of her word, she gives me my cash back and buys me pho. TLDR stripper bought me pho. Does a third party experience count? A few years ago, when Skyrim was still all the rage, got dragged to a strip club with a friend's birthday party. Noticed that one of the strippers had a Skyrim logo tattoo for a tramp stamp, the Septim Dragon/Diamond. Pointed it out to the guys in the party, and one dude peeled off to get a dance from her. Fast forward a couple hours and we realized that he never came back to join us. I went looking for him and sure enough, he's sitting in one of the private dance booths. The chick is naked sitting next to him. He's rubbing her feet and they are discussing Skyrim mods. Later on it turned out he ended up spending $400 for the pleasure and she didn't do a single dance for him. Not really weird but sad. One time I was doing a VIP session and this dude legitimately told me to stop dancing and basically broke down in front of me, telling me he was only there because his friends dragged him along to cheer him up. From what he told me he caught his wife in bed with another man and they recently just got divorced. He told me his now ex-wife told his kids that he was the one cheating and his kids basically hated him now. I've never felt so bad for a total stranger all my life. #1. Guy was in with his 20-something son. I get the guy to go for a dance. We're in the booth nearest to the entry foyer area. Partway through the song, I look over and see a group paying the cover, one of which is a girl who is staring at us. Next thing I know, this chick has plopped down in the booth next to the guy and goes, "Hi dad." The whole family had come to the strip club. #2. A few of us shared the same regular customer. Very nice soft spoken man. Played the ukulele as a hobby and drank ginger ale in the club. Always bought at least a half-hour VIP, often multiple hours, and tipped well on top. Absolute gem of a customer. The catch was that he had a combination of fetishes. He would wear a chastity belt with a chain on it so the girls could pull on it. He also liked to imagine he was a puppy and do this third-person rollerplay bit. Like, he would say, "If you and other dancer had a slumber party, what would you want Puppy to do? Would you put Puppy in his cage?" I have lots of stories, but those are the weirdest that spring to mind. When I was a stripper, a customer visiting from Canada bought a lap dance, and while we were back there, he tried to talk me into going to his hotel to give him a hand job for $200. I declined multiple times. He took the hint and also came in his pants during the lap dance. He leaves. Life goes on. 8 years later I'm a hairdresser in the suburbs, and who the duck walks in? Hand job guy. I was the only one available, and I'm a professional, so I didn't say anything. He mentioned I looked familiar, and halfway through it seemed to dawn on him because he suddenly got quiet, paid, literally ran out, and never came back lol. Cousin's friend is a former stripper, told this one at a family gathering. Essentially, this dude paid for the full VIP treatment, room and all that. But 4 minutes in or so, he wanted to show his dogs. He spent the entire rest of the time showing her his dogs and videos of them playing. She asked him why he spent his money for the full VIP treatment just to show dogs. He said, "Oh, I just wanted to show my dogs to someone, but couldn't find another way." Edit. To everyone talking about him not knowing what Reddit it or whatever, the story was in the early 2010s and Reddit wasn't as widespread. Not a stripper, but I did work in a strip club as a bouncer, which provided me a great story involving one of the girls. Her name was Robot, totally cool chick which had quite a following with the locals. In particular, one regular of hers would come in once a week, without missing a single week, and get the same private dance from the same girl, Robot. During his private dance, the man, who was a big fellow, weighing about 350 plus, would ask her to take her stiletto heels and put them down his throat, followed by a splash of creamer in his face. He paid her $400 each time. There was a guy who was super drunk and telling me he was there with his wife, but it's cool, they have an open relationship thing going on. Cool, whatever, none of my business. We go and start a dance. Maybe a minute in, this woman runs around the corner and starts screaming at him. He starts screaming back and pretty much tosses me to the floor and runs after her, dropping $100 in the process, while also already having paid for the dance. I grab the money and try to find out what happened. I asked a waitress if she'd seen where he went, and she said he'd just been kicked out for choke slamming the woman into a wall. So I got to keep the money, which was kinda cool. Had another guy pay me $700 to literally just rub my feet for 2 hours. I hate foot stuff / people touching my feet, but that man, $700 during a day shift was pretty sweet. Not a stripper, but my buddies dragged me to a strip club when I was 18. I had a baby face, no facial hair, and felt so awkward. People kept looking at me like, how the duck did you get in here? One stripper even asked me if it was past my bedtime. My friends thought it would be funny to buy me a private dance without telling me. This 40-year-old Latina MILF pulls me aside into a little booth. She closes the curtain and starts to do her thing. As she bends over, she lets out the loudest queef I've ever heard. Awkwardly enough, I laughed, and she got up and left. I sat in the booth until somebody brought me back to my friends. Turns out they paid her close to $100 for that. I went home that night and told my girlfriend what happened, and she died laughing. I'll never be back to another strip club. One of my co-workers is an ex-stripper. She has 1.5 million stories of creeps, gropers, men who've requested disgusting things, and extremely aggressive and entitled lesbians. But here's one story that she likes telling. So, she was giving a dance to this guy. He paid for a VIP room, and she was giving him the full show, as he paid for it, but he wasn't enjoying it at all. So, about halfway through her routine, he just stands up and says, "What the hell am I doing? I gotta pay the car registration, gotta pick up the mail, mow the lawn, and 1,000,000 other things," and left. Dude went to a strip club on his day off, but couldn't enjoy it because he had a bunch of chores that needed doing. Went to a strip club, couldn't get his mind off what he should be doing, and left. Not a particularly funny story, but she always laughs because of how utterly ridiculous it is.